Okay. All right. I will call the meeting to order. And can I get a mover and a seconder for the resolution to open the meeting? Bob and Rudy. It's been moved and seconded that the August 4th, 2022 public meeting of the Lakehead Rural Planning Board be opened, the time being 5:30 p.m. Is there anyone in opposition to this resolution? Seeing none, we are now in our meeting. And can I get a mover and a seconder for the agenda, please? Bob and Gordon. It's been moved and seconded that the August 4th, 2022 public meeting agenda of the Lakehead Rural Planning Board be approved. Is there anyone in opposition to this resolution? Seeing none, we will move into the agenda. Do we have any declarations of pecuniary interest in tonight's proceedings? Okay, seeing none, I will let Carrie take away the applications.
So the Rosa is in the waiting room and I'm trying to let her in, but it just keeps saying joining. And I know that she's interested in this application. So if we can just wait one moment, see if we can get her in.
Problem.
Thank you. Okay, so application 1B1522 for Paul Penna was originally reviewed by the board June 2nd, 2022, and was deferred because of an issue with property boundaries. So the applicant was advised to have a draft survey prepared by a surveyor so that we could see what the lands actually looked like, so that the board could make a decision based on that more accurate information. So just to review, this application is located on lands known as 194 Pike Lake Road. They're proposing to create one new lot with 2.96 hectares in area, leaving a retained piece with 2.88 hectares in area. The draft survey was sent out to the board, but I can also share my screen if necessary so that everyone can take a look at that survey. So based on the information that we have, there is frontage on the retained lot legally owned by Mr. Penna, and there's plenty of land and frontage on the proposed lot to be severed. So it would be my recommendation that this application be approved with our usual conditions.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone who would like to speak in favor of this application? So we have the applicant. You don't need to speak, it's fine. Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to this application?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right. So my question is, if the line drawn on Pike Lake Road is not completely there, how do you know he actually has 100 feet of frontage?
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
Well, how do you know he legally has 100 feet of frontage? Because you're saying he has enough frontage now.
Correct.
If the line is not actually drawn there.
Well, a surveyor has prepared a survey in draft form showing that there's 100 meters of frontage, which is the legal requirement.
Okay. So he's going to move his driveway to that 100 meters of frontage.
Moving the driveway is not a requirement of this application. That's the retained lot that has an access point already. If there's an issue legally about the driveway, then the applicant can deal with that separately. But as far as we're concerned, there is an existing entrance for that retained lot.
What are you supposed to say? We don't know if they did it or not.
Okay.
Okay. Are there any other concerns? Okay. Are there any questions of the board members for either the planning manager or the applicant? Seeing none. Oh, go ahead, Gordon.
Unfortunately, I read the provincial policy statement, and
it doesn't deal with unorganized in a manner that I feel that gives us the implied control that they want. They are indicating that property should be created for cottage use, but they have no procedure in it on how to do that. They also say that when we create a lot, it shouldn't add any burden to the adjacent municipality. Once they've said all that, but they've also said that we're allowed to create 200 lots. And so I'm not in opposition to this severance. I'm in opposition to the provincial policy statement not being very clear. And with a new official plan that has to be done, I have no idea how the two are going to meld together. And it may not be the right time to bring this up, but we are doing a severance, and the provincial policy statement talks about when we create severances, but there is just no follow-up to it. You know, like the person can buy this property and build whatever they want on it. And although the provincial policy statement says you can't have a permanent residence and it can't act as an impact on the adjacent municipality, which would be Thunder Bay, it has no way to enforce it, no way to see it. Our role ends when we create this lot, and there's no government agency to follow up on it. And so it's just that when we do the official plan, or somebody does the official plan, someone's going to deal with that issue of how we can, after we've created it, the provincial policy statement gets enforced. That's the end of my rambling. Thank you.
Thanks for the comment. I think that's, yeah, it's unorganized. It's almost like the Wild West, right? It's unfortunate that the province has, I guess for lack of a better term, kind of ignored those locations for a long time, and this is where it's at. But as far as this application in particular, are there any other questions from the board member? Seeing none, we'll move on to the second application. These applications will be considered at our regular meeting, which is held immediately after this meeting concludes. So you're welcome to stick around. Next application, please, Carrie.
Thank you. So application for consent 1B 2222 has been received from Carol Van Ramshorst, acting as agent for Virginia Lane for the property known as 434 to 458 Heimers Fair Drive. This application was originally presented to the board in 2021, but has since lapsed. With the resubmission, the proposed lot sizes have also changed, with the new lot being proposed to have approximately 12.3 hectares, leaving a retained lot of 37.74 hectares. The subject property has frontage on Heimers Fair Drive, is designated as rural in the official plan, and zoned both rural and commercial in the zoning bylaw. You can see the proposed sketch there. It's my understanding from the applicant that the lot lines have changed so as not to go all the way south to their southerly property line for surveying cost reasons. The properties are abutted by additional rural lots, and the original parcel of land has been severed previously on one other occasion, which leaves this severance still permitted in Gillies Township. Both the proposed retained and new lot will exceed the area and frontage requirements of both the rural and commercial zone, and the proposed new lot will require an entrance permit from the Township of Gillies should one not already exist. We did receive comments from the Conservation Authority, Mines, Enbridge, and Hydro, all stating that they have no concerns, and those comments will be forwarded to the applicant. We didn't receive any public comments, and the Gillies Council was not able to meet at a formal council meeting prior to this meeting, but they had no concerns in 2021. So it's their typical condition on approval of consents that we provide a 20-meter strip of road that's transferred to the township. So it would be my recommendation that we approve this application with the usual conditions. including one for the township that states the 20-meter road allowance would be surveyed out and transferred to the township.
Thank you, Carrie. I see we do have the applicant in attendance. Would you like to speak in support of this application? It's okay if you don't. Do we have anyone in the public? Oh, I see the mute is off. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Ms. Lane.
that's okay. I think that everything on my application is already said, so I have nothing else to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to this application? And are there any questions from the board members for either the applicant or our manager of planning? Seems pretty straightforward. We'll move on to the next application, please.
Thank you. So application for consent 1B 2322 has been received from Eric and Sandra Hernandez for the property known locally as 348 Ware Road North. This application proposes to create a new lot of 2.04 hectares, leaving 29.32 hectares retained. The subject property has frontage on Ware Road North in Ware Township, is designated as rural in the official plan and zoned rural in the zoning bylaw. The proposed severed and retained lots will meet all the area and frontage requirements of the rural zone. And the proposed new lot will front on Ware Road North, meaning that they will require an entrance permit from the Ware Roads Board if one does not already exist. We received agency comments from Mines and Hydro One, again stating that they have no concerns, and those comments will be forwarded to the applicant. And we did not receive any comments from the public. This is the final consent application for Gorham and Ware as well. This is the 200th lot. And it is my recommendation that this application be approved with our usual conditions.
Okay, thank you, Carrie. I see we do not have the applicant in attendance. Is there anyone who would like to speak in support of this application? Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to this application? And are there any questions from the board members to our planning manager? I have one question. So on the sketch, they're supposed to indicate north. This is a very confusing way to indicate north if you look on the sketch.
My sketch or the applicant's?
It's the applicant's sketch, it's not your sketch, because it goes south, east, west, north, which is not really the way directions go. Doesn't really matter, but anyhow. Yeah, I just noticed that. So other than that, you have a question, Bob? Go ahead.
No, but actually, I just looked for north, but you're quite right. I didn't catch the other arms of the compass rose. And as much as it's a small thing, it's still something that should be laid down correctly. I don't mind north going to the left, but I didn't notice south on the top. So I agree that the compass rose should be set up properly and correctly. And maybe that can be added to the final sketch. This is just a preliminary sketch, and as long as north is to the left, that's good with me. Thanks.
Okay. Any other comments or questions on this application? Seeing none. Do we have anything, any debates and decisions regarding applications held in advance? Do we actually have any applications held in advance anymore?
We do not right now.
We do not. Okay. Then we are ready to adjourn the public meeting. Can I get a mover and a seconder for this resolution? Bob and Gordon. It's been moved and seconded that the August 4th, 2022 public meeting of the Lakehead Rural Planning Board be adjourned, the time being 5:44 p.m. Anyone in opposition to that? Seeing none, we will move to open our next meeting. So I will call the meeting to order. And can I get a mover and a seconder to open the next meeting? Bob and Rudy. Been moved and seconded that the August 4th, 2022 regular meeting of the Lakehead Rural Planning Board be open, the time being 5:45 p.m. Anyone in opposition to that? Seeing none, we are now open. And can I get a mover and a seconder for the resolution to approve the agenda? Bob and Gordon. It's been moved and seconded that the August 4th, 2022 regular meeting agenda of the Lakehead Rural Planning Board be approved. Anyone in opposition to that? Seeing none, the agenda is hereby approved. Do we have any disclosures of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, we have the first resolution. We have no deputations, so I would like to add, and I regret not noting this for the public meeting, but I would like to welcome Amber to the meeting. She is our new planning assistant. I have not had the opportunity to meet her in person, but I'm sure we'll see each other at some point since you are working out of the Oliver Papoonge office. And welcome. Hopefully the excitement of these meetings, you can handle it. Anyhow, that being said, we will move into the first application. Is there anything to add to this application, Carrie?
I have nothing to add.
Okay, well, can I get a mover and a seconder to approve the first application? Bob and Gordon, resolution number 103-2022. It's been moved and seconded that the application 1B/15/22 from Paul Penna, acting as agent for Bertie Penna for the purpose of a new lot on the property legally known as Concession 5 South Part Lot 8, RP 55R3549 Part 1, PCL 18825 TBF Gorham Township, Geographic District of Thunder Bay, known locally as 194 Pike Lake Road, as set forth in the application, be approved with conditions. Is there anyone in opposition to this application and this resolution? Seeing none, congratulations, Mr. Penna. You have your approval. Go ahead, Carrie.
Sorry, just before you leave, Paul. So next week, you'll get a notice of decision emailed to you. That starts a 20-day appeal period, after which all your conditions can be met. You have 2 years to meet those conditions, and they'll all be in the notice of decision that you received by email.
Thanks, Carrie, and thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the second application. Can I get a mover and a seconder for this one? Rudy and Bob. Resolution number 104-2022. It's been moved and seconded that the application 1B/22/22 from Kelvin Ramshorst, acting as agent for Virginia Lane, for the property described as Concession 5, part north half of Lot 11, PCL 969 DFWF, Gillies Township, Geographic District of Thunder Bay, known locally as 534 to 458, pardon me, 434 to 458 Heimers Fair Drive, as set forth in the application, be approved with conditions. Is there anyone in opposition to this application? Seeing none, it is approved. And the last application this evening, can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Bob and Gordon. It's been moved and seconded the application 1B/23/22 from Eric and Sandra Hernandez for the property described as Concession 7 South Part Lot 8, PCL 7928 TBF Ware Township, Geographic District of Thunder Bay, known locally as 348 Ware Road North, as set forth in the application, be approved with conditions. Is there anyone in opposition to this application? Seeing none, it is also approved. And now we'll move on. Oh, go ahead, Bob.
Sorry about that. Just a curiosity, although I could bring it up later, but where are we now on severances, numbers left of severance?
That's it.
That's it.
We're done.
Okay.
That is the last one. So
Okay.
these meetings may get simpler. I guess they should be.
All right. Thanks very much. Appreciate
No
it.
problem. Okay, we have a resolution to approve the minutes of the public meeting on July 7th. Can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Axel and Rudy. It's been moved and seconded that the Lakehead Rural Planning Board approves the minutes of the July 7th, 2022 public meetings as presented. Are there any errors or omissions? Is there anyone in opposition to this resolution to approve the minutes? Seeing none, it is approved. And for the regular meeting minutes, can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Gordon and Bob. It's been moved and seconded that the Lakehead Rural Planning Board approves the minutes of the July 7th, 2022 regular meeting as presented. Are there any errors and omissions? And is there anyone in opposition to approving these minutes? Seeing none, minutes are approved. Do you have any matters arising from the minutes, Carrie?
So the only new business that was discussed in July was the that there's no more consents left in Gorham and Ware, and that a notice would be posted on our website, which has happened.
Are we, okay, we have financial reports, which everyone received via email. Do you have anything to present, or are they just for information, Carrie?
It's just for information unless any member has a question.
Does anyone have a question? Seeing none, we will move on. Do we have any correspondence? Oh, go ahead, Bob.
Sorry about that, Bernie.
No worries.
I'm just, again, I'm curious because a component of our budget is a amount that comes from the provincial government, obviously for managing the unorganized areas. Has there been any consideration, or is there any concerns that with the severance situation as it is, that there may be some effect on the amount that comes from the levy that comes from the provincial government? I'm just curious. If it's not something that you know at this point, I perfectly understand, but I'm just curious. Where does this go now? It's a very unusual situation.
So I have no information on that. I will say that we can still do minor variances. We can still do lot additions. We can still do zoning amendments. Lampiella is still an ongoing issue, regardless of the fact that we haven't talked about it in a long time. And there are other issues with property in the area. So the board is still working in those areas. I guess it'll depend what the ministry deems to be acceptable fee structure.
Okay, thank you for that, Carrie. Yeah, we haven't been giving any indication that there's going to be a change, and I would be surprised if we were given any indication, because we, like as Carrie noted, we still do have quite a few duties that ultimately come along with the mandate of this board. So, okay, are we requiring a closed session? Or I guess we have new business. Do we have any new business?
Not
No
for
new
me.
business. Is there any new business from any other board members? I'll talk at once. No, great, we're good. Do we require a closed session for this meeting, Carrie?
There were documents sent to the board of a legal nature. If the board wishes to discuss them, we'll go into closed.
Does the board wish to discuss them? Bob?
Sorry about that. I'm just thinking maybe just a few moments of comment on some of the correspondence received in regards to legal matters. Yes. I see a problem. Okay, thanks.
Okay, I have a resolution to move us into closed session then. Can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Bob and Axel. It's been moved and seconded that the Lakehead Road Planning Board resolves to a closed session to discuss matters pertaining to legal matters.